Every winter,
People promise to rest.
but somehow, they feel more exhausted than the rest of the year. Stress becomes normal, tiredness becomes identity, and silence becomes rare. But what if 7 simple days could quietly change the way your body feels, the way your mind reacts, and the way your home breathes? What if no dieting, no punishment, and no guilt could still lead to real energy, real calm,
And real balance.
This is not another motivation video. This is not another health lecture. This is a gentle reset, designed for real homes, real mothers, real families,
And real tired hearts.
Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you may never look at winter, your routine, or your own health the same way again. Winter holidays arrive with cold air, warm meals, family noise, and quiet exhaustion hidden behind smiles. Everyone plans to rest, but most people only change the location of their stress. Mothers carry the heaviest weight. Meals,
Moods.
schedules, emotions, and expectations. This is not a fitness challenge. This is not a diet plan. This is a survival guide for the season. 7 days.
Simple habits.
No guilt. No pressure. Only realistic health. Health that fits real homes, real kitchens, real tired bodies, and real emotional needs. This journey begins with mornings that do not demand perfection. A warm glass of water in your hands. A slow breath before the noise begins. A reminder that your body is not a machine. Breakfast becomes nourishment instead of negotiation.
Eggs. Oats.
Fruit. Simple food that gives energy instead of regret. Movement enters quietly. A walk through cold air. A stretch beside the bed. Muscles waking without punishment. Mental health enters without warning. In the space between 2 tasks. In the breath before reacting. In the moment when silence replaces shouting. Each day builds gently, not with force, but with rhythm. Food becomes support instead of comfort alone. Warm soups, balanced plates, shared meals, hands passing bowls instead of scrolling phones. Physical movement becomes part of life. Cleaning becomes motion. Stairs become training. Playing with children becomes endurance. Rest becomes a skill again, not an accident, not a collapse, but a deliberate choice. Stress begins to lose its grip because the body feels supported and the mind feels seen. Midweek arrives with lighter shoulders, softer reactions, clearer thinking. Energy returns without caffeine overload. Sleep improves without medication. Emotions stabilize without numbing. Holidays stop feeling like a test and begin feeling like time. Mothers feel their breath return, their appetite normalize, their patience stretch further than before. Families begin to mirror the calm they witness. Children follow routines when they feel safe, not when they feel controlled. By the 6th day, the body trusts the process. Digestion eases. Cravings soften. Mood swings shrink. By the 7th day, the nervous system remembers balance. Not perfection, not performance, but balance. And something quiet and powerful begins to rise. A belief that health does not require suffering. A belief that joy does not require excess. A belief that rest does not require collapse. This week does not change everything, but it unlocks the door. And behind that door waits a version of life that feels lighter, warmer, steadier, and far more human. The next morning arrives not with resistance, but with readiness. The kitchen feels softer. The body feels present. The mind no longer runs ahead in panic. And that is where the real transformation begins. Not in the mirror, not on a scale, but in the way the day is entered. With steadier hands, with calmer breath, with a quieter heart, with a sense that this winter does not need to be survived. It can be lived. And as the routine deepens, as the habits settle into memory, as the home adjusts to the new rhythm, something even more important starts to shift. The way stress is processed, the way hunger is understood, the way rest is respected, the way emotions are expressed. Conversations soften, discipline becomes guidance, structure becomes safety. The day no longer feels like a chase. It begins to feel like a flow. And inside that flow, new choices begin to appear. Without force, without shame, without urgency, the body begins to signal real hunger, not emotional alarm. The mind begins to recognize real fatigue, not constant overwhelm. And slowly, very slowly, the season transforms from burden to balance. Day 1 begins with simplicity. No alarms racing the heart. No rushed commands to the body. Morning arrives with cold air on the window and warmth waiting in the kitchen. The first choice of the day is water. A warm glass, held slowly, sipped without hurry. The body receives the signal of care. Before the world demands performance, breath slows, shoulders drop, thoughts soften. Breakfast follows without rules. Only balance. Only steadiness. Eggs for strength. Oats for warmth. Fruit for quiet sweetness. Food is no longer reward. Food is fuel. Food is kindness. Children move through the house with noise and energy. And the body is no longer bracing for impact. Movement enters naturally. Through walking. Through stretching. Through standing instead of sinking. Muscles wake without rebellion. Joints loosen without strain. The morning passes without pressure. Tasks become motion, not punishment. Midday arrives gently, with real hunger, not panic hunger, not boredom hunger. Lunch becomes grounding. Warm food, steady portions, quiet satisfaction. The mind clears as digestion settles. Reaction slow. Focus sharpens. Afternoon brings responsibility, but not overwhelm. Movement stays woven into the hours. Through stairs, through reaching, through lifting, through play. Evening approaches without collapse. Because energy has not been stolen. It has been managed. Dinner brings warmth again. Not excess. Not restriction. Just enough. The body begins to trust that nourishment will return. So it stops shouting through cravings. Night enters without resistance. Screens dim. Household noise softens. The nervous system receives its signal. The day is ending. Sleep arrives without bargaining. Without rituals of exhaustion. Without defeat. Day 1 ends without drama. Only steadiness. Only quiet progress. Day 2 enters with familiarity instead of struggle. Morning breath feels deeper. The body does not fight the air. Water again becomes the first promise. Not coffee, not sugar, but steadiness. Breakfast repeats its quiet role. Fuel without chaos. Energy carries into movement. Not intense, not forced, just consistent. Mental weight feels lighter. Because yesterday did not ask for perfection. The mind begins to learn safety again. Midday stress still appears, but it no longer controls the body. Food interrupts tension. Movement releases pressure. Breath resets the system. Afternoon responsibilities continue, but something inside feels supported. Evening arrives without emotional collapse. Because reserves remain. Sleep deepens slightly. Not perfect, but real. Day 3 begins with familiarity that feels earned. The body recognizes routine. The nervous system anticipates stability. Hunger signals softly. Energy rises without shock. The mind begins to feel space between thought and reaction.
Food choices feel calm.
Not emotional. Not performative. Movement feels integrated. Not scheduled. Not avoided. Stress does not disappear, but it no longer dominates. Midweek weight lifts from the shoulders. As the body confirms that rest will return again. Night arrives without fear of tomorrow. Day 4 begins with rhythm. The home feels organized without force. Mornings move without shouting. Tasks complete without collapse. Energy spreads evenly through the day. Not spiking. Not crashing. The body begins to understand when it truly needs food and when it needs pause. Movement continues quietly, as part of living, not as punishment. Evening returns with calm that surprises. Sleep deepens further, and repair continues silently through the night. Day 5 arrives with clarity. The emotional fog thins. The heart responds instead of reacts. Appetite stabilizes. Cravings weaken. Energy stretches longer. Mental weight loosens its grip. Food becomes predictable. Movement becomes natural. Rest becomes respected. The body continues to confirm its trust. Day 6 arrives with lightness. Families feel the shift before they understand it. Voices soften. Patience stretches. Laughter arrives without effort. Shared meals feel grounding. Not rushed. Not forced. Movement becomes play. Not obligation. Evening closes with connection instead of collapse. Sleep comes without dread of morning. Day 7 arrives slow and quiet. The body wakes without argument. The mind wakes without alarm. Silence feels safe. Stillness feels earned. The week has not transformed the world, but it has transformed the way the world is carried. And that shift continues forward. Through every morning that follows. Through every meal that nourishes. Through every step that moves the body forward. Through every breath that steadies the mind. The routine no longer belongs to a week. It now belongs to life. And it continues to grow, one slow choice at a time. Each week completes its circle, not with perfection, but with steadiness. The body feels heard. The mind feels calmer. The heart feels lighter. Winter no longer feels like something to survive. It feels like something that can be lived. Strength now feels quiet, not loud, not forced. Health now feels gentle, not strict, not punishing. And happiness feels possible, not promised, not delayed. These 7 days were never about changing who you are. They were about reminding you of who you already were. A person who deserves rest. A person who deserves nourishment. A person who deserves balance. Mothers who give without counting. Now receive without shame. Families who rushed without noticing. Now pause without guilt. This routine does not end here. It travels into mornings, into meals, into walks, into quiet moments between responsibilities. It continues in small choices, in warm food, in slow breath, in steady sleep, and in those small choices. A powerful life is built, not loudly, not instantly, but truly. This winter can still be soft. This winter can still be warm. This winter can still be yours. And the next day begins, not with pressure, but with peace.